Are you struggling in Inquisitor Martyr, not doing enough damage or having trouble surviving? Do you love playing with a certain weapon or class, but it just doesn't seem to perform well?
By the Emperor, let's not do this one more time.
Then let me show you some of the most broken mechanics that will solve most, if not all of your problems. Let's start with the first and probably most iconic mechanic, the Heat Aura Psalm Doctrine. I still get messages from players who have no idea what this is or what Psalm Doctrines even are. So here is a quick breakdown on how to equip it. Head over to the crafting station and unlock diffusion and socket extraction. Then go to the forging tab, place your item in the slot and socket those psalm codes into an item with at least 4 sockets. The order doesn't matter. And now you can see you have activated the psalm code doctrine. Now let me explain what it does. It creates a 6-meter radius circle that deals 100% heat damage, ticking every 0.25 seconds. So it's super fast. The base damage is already good, but it gets even better if you're running a heat-based build or are using mechanics like the Enrage or Berserk tokens, since both of them increase all of your damage, including the one from your heat aura. You can clear plus 10 missions or higher purely by the heat aura's damage itself, making it perfect for speed farming. But the real reason this is so overpowered is the way it applies debuffs. One of the main damage sources in Inquisitor Martyr comes from vulnerabilities. The heat aura, with its fast damage ticks, easily maxes out your heat vulnerabilities to 10 stacks using a passive from the heat tree, or enchantments like these. But wait, there is more. Combining the heat aura with enchants you can find on relics, or using the Diversive Tactics perk, allows you to be stacking up vulnerabilities for every other damage type in no time. As a reminder, vulnerabilities increase the damage of their type by 10% per stack, up to 100% at 10 stacks. And this can get even higher with the vulnerability effectiveness stat. So now you can see how quickly this one Psalm Doctrine can make your damage skyrocket. Especially if you're using a slow weapon that takes a while to build up vulnerabilities and debuffs. Another reason this doctrine is so powerful is that it triggers on-hit effects like HP gain, critical hits, suppression recovery, shield and life drain, knockbacks, shocks and more. Just imagine your weapon hitting every target around you 4 times per second, constantly activating all those effects. That's how strong this mechanic is. It's actually so overpowered that I often avoid using it in my builds, because it can make the game too easy. And if you combine it with this enchant, which is one of the strongest in the game, you will see what broken really means. Now let's talk about the craziest defensive mechanic in the game, the Ethereal Psalm Doctrine. If your health drops below 30%, or instead of taking a fatal blow, you enter an ethereal state. This lets you move through enemies with plus 50% movement speed, while ignoring all damage for 5 seconds. The effect has a very short cooldown with only 15 seconds. Plus you get an inoculator charge every time it triggers. The only downside is that you can't deal damage during that time. This effect alone can carry you through very high level missions. But it gets even better when combined with Bloodbound, which heals you for 20% of your health every second for 20 seconds, South Boost to increase the duration, and the enchant that resets your inoculator cooldown on kill. This means you can have constant healing or invulnerability. You can also stack it with enchants that trigger the Rosarius Force Field on your armor or weapon, or use a Rosarius Force Field itself, so you can go from one invulnerability to another all the time. And don't forget, the constant refilling of inoculator charges can boost your damage too, if you equip yellow components like the Psychon. If you thought the heat aura was strong, then let me show you an even stronger mechanic, that can carry you through +18 missions and beyond. You will need 3 things. This Psalm Doctrine that creates shock explosions, that deals heat damage and shocks enemies, an enrage token source, like disenchantment on the neural implant, and an Architect relic belt with an enchantment that gives you a shock aura in enraged state. This setup creates a constant loop of shocking enemies and dealing damage at a ridiculous speed. The only requirement for it to trigger is having at least 2 enemies next to each other. So pull some trash mobs to the bosses or elites and let the shock triggers melt them away. The damage ticks from this combo also trigger your on-hit effects, like HP gain, vulnerabilities, debuffs and more. So if you're struggling with an underperforming build, use this setup to breeze through even the toughest content. Now that Inquisitor Martyr has permanent seasons, we have access to the Season of Judgment items, including belts that grant judgment spells. These spells can trigger a variety of effects and deal crazy damage, making them perfect for slower builds like an autogun, power sword and sniper build, or any setup that lacks a fast hit rate or good AoE capabilities. The AoE effects from these spells are ideal for clearing out hordes of enemies and spreading your debuffs and on-hit effects. Plus, if you love a specific weapon or playstyle but struggle with damage output, then this enchant alone can probably save it. You can even farm these spells easily on one character and then send them to your off-seasonal characters to keep the fun going. As mentioned before, vulnerabilities are incredibly strong, providing a 10% damage increase per stack. If we combine that with the Uncreator Psalm code in every item and certain enchantments, you can ramp this up to absurd levels. And then if we combine this with a Signum that applies general vulnerabilities, which increase damage for all types, we will get a truly broken mechanic. If you can consistently stack 10 vulnerabilities for your damage type and 10 general vulnerabilities, you can boost your damage by 600% or more. Some of the best ways to apply general vulnerabilities quickly is by using the previously mentioned shock combo, the Fear Aura enchant, or the Trusty Heat Aura. Now that we have the big ones out of the way, let me go over some smaller mechanics. Shield and Life Drain are exclusive enchants on melee weapons, and since the Season of Escalation can be found on a few Architect relic items. It provides a massive boost to your defensive capabilities and is significantly stronger than HP on hit effects. The perk Blessing of St. Victorious is the best defensive perk in the game. It caps the damage you can take per hit to 30% of your health, massively improving your survivability. In the movement tree, there is a super useful perk you can unlock with just 5 points. It reduces your cooldown on critical hits, which is incredibly strong for any build. Each morality path offers great enchants. 2 of the most powerful enchants are Teleport and Invincibility. They can be game changers in tough situations and allow you to stop relying on things like the ethereal Psalm Doctrine. So that was some of the most broken things you can use in the game. If you know about anything else that I should have mentioned, then please let me know in the comments below. And check out my new membership offers here on YouTube, if you want a bunch of value while supporting my content. So see you guys in the next one. And don't forget, the new DLC class is dropping soon, so subscribe for more Inquisitor content.